Erosion, conventional farmers had a lot more erosion. This is laminar erosion. And this was the big discovery because the first estimates on damage were from satellite photos, and they just looked at sedimentation and landslides, right? And said, oh, it's terrible, there's been this much, this many millions of tons of soil have been lost. But they weren't, those satellite photos weren't able to measure laminar erosion, right? You don't know how much your topsoil has just kind of been lost. And the farmers figured it out. They were able to make that measurement because they measured the topsoil, right? And that's why we said the erosion has been much worse than anybody realized. These are landslides, same thing. This is cover. So the conventional farmers had more cover than the sustainable farmers. Okay, so we thought that then presenting these studies, going through peer review, publishing, making the argument, we called the ministers of agriculture together, presented the evidence, called in different NGOs and whatnot, presented all the evidence and said, okay, you know, we're ready. You know, we've got farmers up and down Central America. They know how to do this. They can train. They can rebuild. And like the guy says, we're going to rebuild this country. Yeah, okay, we can rebuild this country. And he said, yeah, okay, just sit tight. You know, we've got meetings in Madrid. We're figuring out how we're going to rebuild Central America. So we were somewhat surprised when they came back with this, which was called Plan Pueblo Panamá. Still is. Plan Pueblo Panamá is basically how to turn Central America into a giant maquiladora. And it was all about privatizing and regional integration and through these market-based land reforms and then cementing the whole thing. Basically, nature was going to be sort of cordoned off on the right part here where some of the old rainforests on the right part here where some of the old rainforests still are. That's where you would find nature in this new plan. Then these roads would be put in so that you could have a maquiladora in Nicaragua and do some of the piecework and then move it up to Mexico, up to, I forget where that is that's not Campeche. Oh, move it up into central Mexico and get it into the NAFTA corridor, finish it, and then take it to the United States, basically, whatever, you know, Levi's, whatever you were doing. And so all this infrastructure was going to be put in place, and basically the infrastructure was all about doing piecework and getting it out. So, you know, several $billion, like $9 billion or something for reconstruction. And we said, what happened to agriculture? So not even no sustainable agriculture, no agriculture. They'd just written Central America off. So Europe and the US were not interested in rebuilding agriculture in Central America. Why wouldn't they have been interested in rebuilding agriculture in Central America? You would think that that would be something they would want to do. Why wouldn't they?
Competition.
Competition?
Make it dependent on another country?
Yeah. Europe and the US were experiencing some of the largest surpluses in food and grain in their histories. They needed to sell that stuff. Right? They weren't interested in rebuilding the competition. Right? Quite a bit of money went into rebuilding actually some of the plantations, you know, larger banana plantations and whatnot, but nobody cared about the campesino sector. The campesino sector was going to move over into the manufacturing sector. Now, where have we heard this before? Right? This is an old story. Right? It's an old story. All right, to make it short, Plan Pueblo Panamá is still sitting there, half implemented. They never did it. And if you go to the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank's website, you'll still see a special place made for Plan Puebla, Panama, where the IDB is attempting to seduce investors into investing in this plan. They never did it. They never bothered. And that's why we have, partially, why we still have immigration rates of about 1 million people a year coming into this country. Because agriculture was not only ignored, it was destroyed.